Welcome in, college football fans, on a Friday night here at the Voice of College Football, and our summer festival continues. We announced 1 week ago our summer festival of call-in shows and our set schedule, which includes Monday, noon Eastern time, Thursday, 6 Eastern time, Friday night, 9 o'clock Eastern time, right here at the Voice of College Football. So here we are, 9 o'clock Eastern time, right after our West Virginia show. So please be kind and be patient. We take a couple minutes, of course, after our West Virginia show to turn it around, talk college football with all of you. This is one of the most fun aspects of what we do here at the Voice of College Football, and that's take your calls. If you've been here for the last 4 or 5 shows, you understand that we've had some issues. Some back issues as well. Good Lord. Some issues with our call-in line. So what we did this last time, because we've got some kind of disconnect, some kind of a short in the line, and I've ordered 2 other earpieces / industry term here, IFB lines, and they're just not working. They cut in and out. I don't know what the deal is. We've got levels on the board, but again, some kind of issue with the jack and the line, and I've got 3 different ones and they're all not working. So we discovered this past time that, hey, why don't we just use the StreamYard link, and we can bring in all of you through the StreamYard link. We actually got feedback that the audio is better than over the phone. So it was better for me, and fortunately it's all better for you as well to hear the callers. So that's good, because many times you guys can't hear the callers, and I'm like, can't hear you that well as well. So if you would not want to be identified, meaning have your picture, video on screen, you can still just call in like a caller. What you do is you detach your camera. So if you don't want to be on screen, just want to call in like a caller, then you can detach the camera. If you want to be on the screen, hey, that's great as well. Because what I would like to be able to do is I can take your camera off screen. Unfortunately, I can't enter you in without the camera shot. So that's why you need to detach your own camera input, because otherwise I would like to be able to do that for you. But we've tested this out, and there's no way before I take myself full screen and knock you off that for a split second everyone's going to see you. So if you don't want to be seen, certainly take care of that on your camera, and we will bring you in with video or without video as a caller. And this seems to work well. If anybody has any issues with it, please let us know what those issues are. I will let all of you know before we bring in our first caller that we've got some new helmets we picked up today. So thank you to whomever sent us Utah. Look at that fine looking Utes helmet that just came in, as well as Navy, not to be confused with Notre Dame, of course. The Notre Dame helmet and the Navy helmet always, and of course Army, but Army's got the black with the gold helmet. So I get confused a bit, or there is overlap between the Notre Dame and the Navy helmets, but this being the alternative Navy helmet. So very sharp there. Air Force. So the military academies finally repped here at the Voice of College Football. The Falcons of Air Force right here at the Voice of College Football. Good to have you. And of course, Troy Calhoun, their fine head coach there at Air Force, who has joined us here at the Voice of College Football on 3 occasions, I believe. So he has been very gracious to join us for 3 interviews, Mr. Calhoun. And how about this? The real MVP will be proud. I don't know if he sent this or somebody else. UK, the Cats. So there we go. There we go. Now let's take our first call, but to remind everyone before we get rolling, the Amazon link. It's down in the description section of all the videos. Please grab the Amazon link, put it somewhere where you will remember it when you go shopping on Amazon. Most of you do at some point. Please use the Amazon link. We get a kickback. So think of it this way. You spend $100 at Amazon, and that doesn't mean you have to. That's an example. If you spend $100 in Amazon, Voice of College Football, we get $1, $2, $5, something in that range, depending on the product. So it helps us build the channel. Also, if you would like to write for us, go to voiceofcollegefootball.com. Go to the top of the screen. It says write for us. Click on that. You'll be in contact with me, and you can write for our site. Let's go to our first caller of the night. And let's see who's here.
Mm-hmm. So we're talking about
here. It's Will. Good to see you, Will.
Good to see you. We're talking about like bad fan takes. Is that correct?
Well,
like bad.
Let me show you something here while you're on. Let me do this. So I'm getting behind here. Let me get you ID'd here. I would like to do this. So what I was going to be posting tonight is I have just been inundated since I belong to a couple of groups on Facebook that invited me, and I see the most inane stuff. So let me see if I can share some. I was going to go to it, but I didn't really find anything tonight, of course. But it just seemed like every hour there was something else posted that was just ridiculous. But certainly, Will, you can let us know if there's anything that that you've come across. Yes, I was going to show ridiculous posts by college football fans on social media. Well, we've got that gentleman right there. So what do you have for us, Will?
Well, I think a lot of it is because of like the mainstream media for sports recently has just been hot takes after hot takes. And I think that's really influenced the modern fan on social media to make their own awful takes of their own. Like, I mean, this is what these people are paid for now. They're not paid to actually give out good sports in the site. They're just here to give out hot takes and for people to click on their videos on YouTube. I think that's really why just so many people just have these outlandish takes.
Yeah, so I am right there with you on that. Unfortunately, I'm not backing myself up with finding much here as I typically do. Again, I just see so much that it finally hit me. I'm going to take these to air and ridicule some people for just some ridiculous, completely inaccurate absurdity that they post on a regular basis. But it's been so much about Arch Manning over the last 2 days. Maybe I should have done this a few days ago. I'm going to have to keep digging to find it. But yeah, you have certainly hit on what the issue with our society is in regards to news and everything else, and it's hit the sports world, of course.
Yeah, I just really miss the days where we had Lou Holtz and Mark May on, and it was like actual good college football insight. And now it's just like, I feel like David Pollack really is the worst one on ESPN. And like, luckily it hasn't really hit the like analyst role during the games, although some analysts don't get out the best it takes. But it just, I can't watch College Game Day anymore. Like, I'm not going to watch College Game Day anymore. Like, maybe I'll see like what Lee Corso puts on his head and laugh. But that's really like, I just like the Voice of College Football, other college football YouTube channels. They're just better. Like, independent media right now is just better because these people aren't paid to make outlandish things on ESPN or Fox or CBS. They're like, we're just here actually having good college football discussion, and that's why I love the Voice of College Football.
Well, thank you for that. And that's always been my approach. So I think there are people out there that play it safe, and they want everyone to like them, and they want to please everyone, so they play it safe. And then on the other end of the spectrum is what you're just talking about, is the clickbait. I'm going to say something outlandish. I'm going to piss people off. I'm just going to shock people. Well, I don't do either one. Some things that I say are rather boring and mainstream, and people are like, well, okay, tell us something we don't know. Well, if that's what I believe to be the truth, and that's my perspective, then it's sometimes going to be boring. I'm not going to shock anyone just to shock people. But then on the other hand, I'm not afraid to shock anyone if I've got an opinion that is going to upset people or not be the popular opinion.
Yeah. yeah, I just really hope that sometime soon, like, also like social media in general is just awful nowadays. So I don't know. I just really hope that good independent media can sort of like the people in these corporations can like see what these people are doing and see that they're actually saying good things and that people actually care about what's actually real and like I don't know, like maybe you'll get like would you ever go back to ESPN if like you would just do the role you're doing here now? Or
Oh my. They would have to back up a Brinks truck into my driveway to get me back there. And I don't think
okay,
they're going to do that. No, I would rather just work for myself and do my own thing.
okay.
But is it possible? It's possible, but there's just so many restraints on what you can say and what you can't
Mhm,
say and all of that. And of course, you always have that depending on what platform you're on. So you're going to be um, monitored by big tech, as it were. But
mhm,
being in that role, I just can't imagine with everything that I know that I would want to get back into a corporate
mhm.
situation.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll find some. You'll be able to find something funny in the that you can just ridicule in the college football frenzy at some
Well,
point this
I know
week.
that I will. I came up with this idea because it seemed like I was getting hit in the face with something like every hour,
Mhm.
but that was a few days ago. But we'll come up with something.
Yeah, I know
Anything
people are
else, Will?
saying like that Arch Manning will
Yep.
transfer to USC in a year just because of how little faith people have in Steve Sarkisian. But I think that's more just taking shots at Texas than just being ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
What's funny is the whole Arch Manning, is he really the best player or the best quarterback in the nation? And seeing all the memes and all
Mm,
the hot takes on that.
yeah, they might just be people that don't like the Manning family because they beat them in the NFL or something close to that.
Yeah, some people are always going to take their shot against the rich and and
Mhm.
the popular just to
Mhm.
do it, just because they don't like them.
Mhm.
But
I mean, like, yeah.
I find it difficult that scouts that are paid by services like 247 Sports and Rivals and others on three that evaluate these players on a regular basis are blinded by the name Manning. I just find it difficult that they're going to evaluate the tape and elevate the 20th best quarterback to number one just because his name's Manning. Now, there could be conspiracy theories out there that the corporation puts pressure on them to do that. It's possible. It's
Mhm.
possible. I'm not going to rule it out, but I would hope that's not the case.
I mean, I'm fine if you say that Dante Moore is the better quarterback, but if you say like Joe Schmo is better than Arch Manning, you're not rational. You're not making good rational judgment on who's a good quarterback and who's not. And yeah, just disappointing.
Okay, Will,
All right.
appreciate you
Well,
being here.
mhm. Join the Discord, people in the chat. Join the
Oh,
Discord. It's
yes.
fun.
Listen to Will. This is how
You,
you join the Discord. Go to Patreon, search Mark Rogers TV. You join the Discord there. I get you the link. You're in the Discord. Got about 55 or 60 in the Discord, and it's only going to get better the more people
Mhm.
join because there's going to be traffic going all the time and there's going to be fan bases that you want to interact with. It's just going to get better the more people we get in there. So, Will, thank you for being in the Discord. Appreciate that and you promoting the Discord.
All right. Well, have fun tonight with laughing at people making ridiculous comments.
We are going to do our best to find some good ones. We shall see. Thanks,
All
Will.
right.
Have a good night.
Have a great night.
All right, let's keep it rolling here at the Voice of College Football. We got Landon on the line. Landon, how you doing?
Pretty good, Mark. Love the channel, man. Thanks for letting me drop in.
Absolutely. Landon, I would like to know whether it's where you're from or who you root for, because just want to get you ID'd on the screen here.
Okay, yeah, I live in Houston, and yeah, Alabama fan.
Okay.
Actually, I did want to hit on something that you and Steve Dace talked about on his program the other day that I feel like is, I don't really want to put it as outlandish as much as just a hard stretch. And it was particularly two things that he got at. The first one was, and you did push back on him and you continue to do so even last week, the way that he has elevated Michigan's roster in terms of team talent composite. I really don't think there's a scouting report anywhere that would rate them as high as he does. I'm really not sure how he puts them anywhere in that vicinity. As you pointed out, particularly with recruiting and even development, I can understand reevaluating, because I think Aiden Hutchinson was maybe a 3-star coming out of high school. And of course, by the time he was done, he's a 5-star, right? So I can understand certain movements. And I think 24/7 and others that do team talent composites do a really good job at changing those over time. But even with that, I'm sorry, there's on no planet does Michigan have as talented a roster as Ohio State. So that's, again, it's not as outlandish as some of the stuff you're probably wanting to talk about here, but I think that's pretty crazy. And I did want to hit at the other one to see what you thought about as far as when he was talking about coaches. Do you know who Dave Bartu is? He runs College Football Metrics.
I don't. I should look into that. College Football Metrics. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fill me in on that.
Okay. He's on Chuck Oliver's program every week on Tuesday. Chuck Oliver does a syndicated 2-hour college football talk show. Mainly takes root in the South. He's based out of Atlanta, but he gets all kinds of people on there. He gets Chris Landry, a bunch like Josh Pate from 24/7. But every Tuesdays, Dave Bar Tuesday is kind of what they've dubbed it. And it's College Football Metrics or Matrix or something like that. But he actually put together like legitimate analytical metrics and stuff to evaluate coaches. And I think the problem with what Steve had put together was he tried to have like a number system, but he was assigning what I think is arbitrary values to those accomplishments. What Bartu does, and he talks about this all the time, is he's actually got measurable metrics to calculate how good a coach is. For example, he uses offensive and defensive efficiency. He brings in recruiting, strength of record. How is your on-field management of a game, for example? And there's actual hard data to validate whether somebody's good or not. The only one that's maybe a little wiggle room in terms of there's a little bit arbitrariness to it would be coaching staff, right? So does, for example, what Cristobal has put together down at Miami, I think adding what defensive coordinators he's got plus Charlie Strong, he's put together a pretty phenomenal staff. Now, whether or not you think they're technically better than what, I don't know, Oklahoma State did, for example, by getting Mason to come to his, okay, there may be just a little bit of argument there. But for the most part, that's how he evaluates how good coaches are, is how have you recruited, your offensive, defensive efficiency, your strength of record, and the coaching staff that you put together. And I think those are pretty sound numbers, and people are out there doing that. And I just feel the way that he rated James Franklin in that list, buddy, and you can push back on this all you want, I just don't know how James Franklin is not the second or third best coach in the Big Ten. I really don't know what kind of analytics you would run to draw a different conclusion. I know he's had a rough 2 years, but a lot of people had a bad COVID year. And it ain't like last year, Penn State got drubbed by everybody. Some of them were close losses. I got to be honest, when you go 9-4 back-to-back years at Vanderbilt, you're a Hall of Famer no matter what, in my opinion. I mean, that in and of itself is incredible. But I just wanted to throw that at you, see if you was aware of Dave Bartu and kind of get your take on that.
It's funny because as soon as you said Dave Bartu, I was like, yeah, I don't know who that is. And I wrote down his name to reach out to him. And as soon as I wrote it, I thought, I recognize that name. Yes, I know who that is.
There you go.
So I have seen his work. It's been a long time since I've seen his work, but I have. Have you seen my coaches' rankings? I'm going to try to find the link. I'll put it in the chat. I don't know if you'll be able to find it, but
okay.
I do something that the only thing I would push back, everything you just stated about the coaches' rankings, and then I'll get back to the team rankings, but the coaches' rankings, all of it makes complete sense to me. The only aspect of that I would say you need to take into context would be the ability to win at that particular school. the recruiting footprint, the resources,
Yeah.
the comparison of Ohio State versus Northwestern, for example, Alabama
Right.
versus Vandy in the same conference, and taking that into consideration.
Right. Yeah, no, and all that's true. And that kind of brings up an interesting thing. And this is a little bit off of the topic you're getting into, but I've honestly struggled with the idea that, as an example, a coach does really take like an Urban Meyer, right? Does great at Utah, goes undefeated, goes to Florida with all those resources, wins 2 national titles, goes to Ohio State with all those resources, wins a national title. So you take somebody like Charlie Strong, who was at Louisville, gets players like Teddy Bridgewater to come from Miami all the way up there. If everybody remembers, I believe it was 2011 or 2012, they're 1 game away from a national championship. If they run the table that year, they're probably playing in the BCS national title at Louisville, and they weren't ACC yet, right? So he's proven he could be successful, but yet goes to Texas, doesn't work. Tom Herman, same thing at Houston, gets arguably the number 1 player in the country, Ed Oliver, to stay home, play there at Houston, which kind of feels like a waste of a talent. Beats Oklahoma, goes 11, does great, shows he does great, gets to Texas, falls flat on his face. I don't know if there is a metric that really evaluates why coaches are good in some environments, but it doesn't translate to others. There are some like Brian Kelly, no matter where he's been a winner. In some way, shape, or form, he's made the program better no matter where he's gone. And yet these other coaches, you see them, like the examples I gave, they were incredibly successful. I mean, even Rich Rod, West Virginia in 06, well, I know 07, if they beat Pitt, they're playing for the national title that year. And then goes to Michigan and it just doesn't work. Goes to Arizona, it doesn't really work. Why was he only good there? I've kind of wondered that, like why you can be successful like that, but you go to a better school with better resources and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, so I just found my coaches' rankings that you may find, excuse me, interesting. Sorry about that. I'll let you know what my approach is to it. Number 1, I'm not trying to recognize lifetime achievement for the most part. So my thought is, who would I hire right now? Who is the best right now? Who's second best, third best, etc. So it doesn't really apply. Nobody's been around that long that's had an uneven career, like they were amazing 15 years ago and now they can barely win, to where that I haven't seen that really factor in like it would have 15 years ago if we were evaluating Bobby Bowden and Joe Paterno, and it'd be like, well, they're 2 of the greatest of all time, but right this second, they might be 30th.
That's right.
But so that hasn't really applied, but I still try to stay focused on that. Now, at the same time, I'm not going to completely penalize somebody for an off season who's proven to be an exceptional coach. Just, it's not that cutthroat that it's right now. You just went 7-5. I'm knocking you down 35 spots, but it is a in the moment ranking. Taking into consideration, yes, where are they coaching? So, and to your point about, let's say, an Urban Meyer versus a Dabo Swinney, the one distinction I'll make for Urban Meyer there, of course, he's not coaching now, is he has proven, yes, he can go anywhere and win. Dabo's been exceptional, but he has yet to do it anywhere else to show that he can go anywhere, and it's not his fault. He doesn't maybe need to leave Clemson ever, but he's not shown that he can do a Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, go anywhere and win.
But what would you say to this, Mark, in Dabo's defense, that Urban really hasn't quite done is he pulled Clemson up from ashes and made them a national champion that they hadn't been since 81. Yep. And that's something Urban really hasn't done per se, because it ain't like Florida was in the trash heap. Florida had a lot of talent that he won a national title with. That first national title, those were Ron Zook's players running around mostly.
Yep.
You know what I mean? In Ohio State 10 years before he got there. So in that sense, you're right. Could Dabo take what he did at Clemson, small town, small community, that family feel? Would that work in Texas? Would that work at USC? Would that work at Ohio State? You're right. I mean, that's a fair point.
And those are 2 good examples. The first 2 that you gave, USC and Texas, because that's kind of what Urban Meyer did. He went to very capable programs, but they weren't trash heaps. They weren't dumpster fires, but they needed some help. Ron Zook was going 8-5, basically. at Florida. But they were talented rosters. Utah was what they are at their level of play. And Ohio State, of course, was not a 6-win football team, but that's what he was coming into technically, but they were better than that.
Yep.
Yeah, I would be interested to see your take on my rankings, just because I'm trying to take all that into consideration.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, no, that is interesting because, like, obviously you take like a Nick Saban. Well, I wouldn't necessarily want, because does he have 3 years left? Does he have 5 years left? Would I take Nick Saban right now if I was, say, like Auburn or, maybe even like Florida, somebody that really needs a good, steady rebuild from the ground up, or like a Florida State, something as radical as that really needs a transformation start to finish, that's going to take a little bit of work, or something like a plug and play where the talent is already there. That would determine. Now, obviously, it's going to sound biased, but I think he is the greatest coach ever, because he has developed in terms of LSU was nothing for 50 years until he got there. And Alabama, for the first time ever, did not send a player to the NFL draft the year he got there. So he's rebuilt 2 programs that way, but it doesn't mean that I would necessarily take him now, depending on what my program was. I would maybe want somebody younger that I need a good 5 to 8 years to possibly get somewhere. Now, I know transfer portal and stuff is supposed to make turnarounds a lot quicker, but yeah, buddy, I don't know. I mean, that, as far as what you're saying, I think, and on that Steve Dace, I really think he had Mac Brown massively overrated for that very reason. I think that was more of an accomplishment rating than right now. I got to be honest, buddy. I think he looked tired last year. I think he genuinely looked exhausted on the sidelines last year for the first time. And I don't think they're trending up, to be honest. I think he's genuinely struggling right now, man. He's not Mac Brown of 2005, 2009. He's not the same guy.
And that's how quickly things can change, because that was my concern about Mac Brown when he took the North Carolina job. Yep. And a lot of guys that take over jobs that are 2 to 4 win teams, they show an ability, to their credit, to raise them to respectability, but to make the next jump is massively different. So you see a lot of guys take over a 4-8 team and make them a 7-5 team, and that's great. That's a good first step, but then they're unable to raise them again. So we'll see with Mac Brown, because I questioned the hire to a certain extent. I wasn't like lambasting it, but I questioned the hire. He comes in, they look really good for 2 years, look like they're headed in the right direction, and now, yeah, we're going to see this next year, because they have not progressed and developed on defense. Now he's switched out coordinators this year to try to fix that with Gene Chizik.
Right.
But, some of these coaches are extremely difficult to rank because of uneven career. You take a Chip Kelly. I'm probably harder on Chip Kelly because, again, I'm ranking in the moment, but I'm not going to completely forget what he accomplished at Oregon. But it's still an in the moment ranking.
Right. Yeah, no. And that's fair. And I think those are 2 separate categories. I don't have a problem with saying, an accomplishment ranking. Well, obviously, yeah, you'd put Mac Brown a little different, but as you're saying, as a right now ranking, I mean, yeah, I'd probably take Kirby over Nick Saban right now. Depending on what my program was, honestly, I think he's kind of shown what he's capable of doing now. Or yeah, like a Ryan Day or something, just somebody younger that looks like they're kind of on the move. But I won't hold up anymore. I'll let you get to some other callers, buddy. I appreciate you. And
thanks,
yeah,
Landon.
All right, buddy.
Appreciate it. Have a good night. Landon brings up a good point, because it seems ridiculous to rank Nick Saban anywhere but number 1. But if you are truly ranking in the moment, he could still be the very best coach in college football easily. But there's room to argue for someone else, and in particular, Kirby Smart. And if you're ranking right now, it's able to be defended. Tim, wait. You shocked by going against the grain and putting someone at number 11? Yes, Lincoln Riley is my 11th ranked coach in the country until he proves a little bit more. Again, let's understand that when you go with rankings, though, not every ranking spot has to be created equal. That doesn't mean the same distance is between 1 and 2 as 2 and 3 and 3 and 4. I really held in high esteem my top 3 being Saban, Dabo 2, Kirby 3, and then a bit of a gap to Brian Kelly and others. But 4 to 12, 4 to 11, 12 maybe were very close. All right, so we're doing it different tonight. You guys are used to the call-in shows, and we've gotten some feedback. Number one, that the audio is better when we bring in people through StreamYard. So I have left the link in the chat. It's probably buried at this point, so I will grab it again. And also keep in mind that we've had some issues with the phone lines. Actually, it's technically my audio line, and not been able to get that straight. So for right now, we are bringing in people through StreamYard. If you don't want to be on camera, just deactivate your camera, and it'll work just like a phone line here on StreamYard. I just left the link in the chat. Okay. Since everybody goes crazy when I try to catch up with the chat, I'm going immediately to the bottom in real time. Exploring with Ben, thank you for dropping the link. Yeah, I guess I really misshot on the title of this call-in show, and you guys should know that whatever you guys want to talk about is good with me concerning college football, but it just hit me the other day. My goodness, I could probably do a stream each week, or I could do a video each week where I just simply collected all the completely inane, absurd evaluations or hot takes, as it were, on college football that are completely illogical, incorrect, etc., and make something out of it. Tim, I believe, wants me to run down 1 through 10 in my coaches' rankings. Well, I would have to look those up. So while we bring on the real MVP, we will do that. There's our guy. The real MVP's on the line. How you doing tonight, man?
Hey, Mark. I'm doing good. How about you?
I am doing just fine. And I don't know if you caught the beginning of the show, but do you see what we've got here?
Yes. Thank you, Exploring with Ben and Sam, for getting that beautiful UK helmet.
Very nice. There it is.
Possibly SEC champions this year.
Sorry that I'm blocking it.
Champions.
Possible. Wow. There's a hot take. Possible SEC champions this year. Let me put it somewhere where people can see it.
Hey, look, I'm a fan. I'm undefeated right now. So let me enjoy. I got a better shot than Florida, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Missouri. So
wow. This is some newfound confidence out of you.
Well, I meant to say East, but
okay. Well, still,
what's wrong with it? You don't think we could beat Georgia?
No, I just did not expect this out of you.
I think, and this is what I've said a lot for a while. This is my belief. I don't think we'll make it to the title game, but I think we'll beat Georgia. I just have that weird feeling where it's at in the schedule lines up really well for Kentucky to win it this year. I mean, Georgia's got to come off back-to-back road game, is going to be on back-to-back road games. They're going to have to play Tennessee the week before, so they're going to, or 2 weeks before that, so they're going to run 1,000 plays that game. It's going to be nighttime. It's going to be cold, so the weather might be a factor for all those Big Ten fans that like the weather as an example. But so I think if there's one game, Georgia's going to lose. And everybody has Georgia losing one game. I've got that general inclination. I think Kentucky is by far the most likely they're going to lose to.
Kentucky on the road, 9 conference games against Oregon and Georgia Tech. Okay, I got you. I'm with you on that one. I just think, though, that between Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, to a lesser degree, South Carolina, and who am I missing? That middle of the Eastern Division with Vandy on the bottom end and Georgia at the top could fall any which way.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm not I'm not saying we'll even I think we'll barely finish second in the SEC East. I think it's going to be Georgia at 11-1, Kentucky at 10-2, and then Tennessee at 8-4. I think they're going to lose to Pittsburgh in their non-conference and have 3 SEC losses just because they have to play Alabama and Georgia, which is brutal. So I think it's going to be much closer this year than previous years. I just think the way the schedule sets up for UK makes it more likely we finish second than Tennessee. And I'm not afraid of Florida at all. They've got a first-year coach. Their schedule's brutal, especially in September. I mean, they could be 1-3 by the end of September. So I think if that is the case, they'll drastically go downhill. I think all confidence will be lost and they'll just be a sinking ship.
Well, Captain Banana Peel says we should be talking about Florida winning the Natty.
The Natty, like the national title?
Sounds like it.
Don't see that happening. Don't see that. First year head coach. They might be 0-2, honestly. 0-2 to start off their season. They might not win it. Imagine that. 0-2. Then who do they got week 3? Some nobody, then Tennessee. I mean, those are all 50-50 games. That's the problem. Is there's a schedule so brutal to start off the year. I mean, you would like if you.
Yeah, we're looking at Utah, Kentucky, USF, Tennessee. Their out of division games are, of course, LSU and Texas A&M, Florida State at the end. It's a tough go.
Yeah, it's not. If they had Kentucky's non-conference schedule, I would feel much better about them than what they currently have. It's the same way I feel about Arkansas. Arkansas can potentially be a top 15 team in the country, but I don't see anyone finish them better than 9-3 because their schedule is. I feel like the person who hates Arkansas created their schedule. It's the hardest schedule in the country by a country mile.
Well, they created some of it themselves, Cincinnati and BYU out of conference.
I don't know why they did that.
Auburn's got a rough one.
Yeah, but I mean, Auburn is hurt. Any team that's bad is going to have a hard schedule. But Arkansas, I think, is one of the few good teams that just has an impossible schedule. Like you put Alabama in Arkansas' schedule, could they go undefeated? Probably not. That's just how difficult it is.
Well, Arkansas basically does have Alabama's schedule. It's almost
the
same.
But with the non-conference games going
to
BYU, Cincinnati, a playoff team in week 1. And then the road games are very tricky.
There's a considerable difference between Arkansas and Alabama, meaning that if we consider those to be difficult games for Arkansas, but if BYU and Cincinnati were on Alabama's schedule, I don't know that we would be that concerned that Bama would lose those games.
Well, I'm not saying that concerned, but it's not a checkmark game. You look at it, you just be like, okay, that's an easy win. I think there'd be
win. They'd be a checkmark game for me. If Bama had BYU and Cincinnati, I'd say those are wins.
I think it's 80-20, but I don't think it's 90-10. So it's, it's fine. But Mark, let me ask you this. Every year people ask what team's going to make the leap from like 3-9 to 10-2. Well, let me ask you, who's going to do the Indiana? Who's going to go from 10-2 to 3-9?
Well, I would have liked to have seen in a full schedule Indiana finish out that 2020 season. They were 6-1. They lost the bowl game 6-2. I don't know that they would have been quite that good, but I'm with you. So I would love to hear another example, though, of 10-2 to 3-9 in the past, because that's
okay. Maybe not that dramatic, but a team that goes
I can't
9-3 or above to not bowling at all. How about that?
Okay, like 9-3 to 5-7, something like that. Okay. This would be okay. I'm going to give you some candidates, not necessarily that I'm going to predict this, but the first team that came to mind is Minnesota. 9-4 last year, playing a not a brutal division, but everybody can beat them in that division. So I don't remember off the top of my head who they play in the Big Ten East besides Michigan. Oh, they've got Michigan State too. So Michigan State, Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska, Purdue. So Minnesota, if they always play close games. They could have a Nebraska kind of year. They could lose a bunch of 20-17 type games. So I'll give you Minnesota. I will give you who could fall off. I'm going to say because their roster is really not that good and their defense is deplorable. And if they have some issues on off, they're a very uneven team. And I root for this team. I talk up this team all the time. You should know this from last year. Wake Forest. They could fall. Now, their non-conference is going to prop them up because I'm sure it's awful.
Hey, they give Vandy's a Power 5 opponent.
Yes, exactly. They do. So that's not going to get fulfilled because of the schedule propping them up. But beware of them because they're a very heavy quarterback wide receiver team. Like, not good in the trenches, not good on defense. Like, they're a very thin team that's carried by a handful of players. So, yeah, the non-conference is so bad that they'll find some wins there. But shoot, they barely beat Army last year. They've got them again this year. Liberty, who's thrown some ACC teams for a loop. Now, of course, that was with
Malik
Willis at quarterback. Yeah. And at Vandy. So if we could have given Wake Forest a legitimate non-conference schedule, then I'd say, you know what? They might fill that bill. But other than those two, those are the first two that come to mind for me.
Okay. And the final thing, though, I'll ask you a different question. Who's more likely to be a head coach next year? Brian Harsin or Urban Meyer?
Oh, the real MVP, you've got a knack for these stumpers. That's a great question. Okay, I'm going to say Brian Harsin for two reasons. Number one, I don't think it's quite as bad at Auburn as people think it is. I do think he's going to have a little bit more of a fighting chance than it appears right now. And number two, I think he would parlay that maybe into another job. So let's say he goes 6-6 again this year and gets fired. He still has a nice overall resume. He should be able to land another job. I don't know if that's going to be immediate, but it could be. Versus the chances that Urban Meyer is going to find the kind of job that, there's only a couple jobs in the country that I can imagine Urban Meyer is going to accept. So I'll go with Harsin.
Do you think Texas could be on that list?
The real MVP, I don't know if you've caught our guy, Jonathan Davis. We just came across him in just the last couple of weeks, and I was on his podcast. He was on our West Virginia show, and then we had him on our Oklahoma show yesterday. He wanted to have me on so bad because he was so upset that I just railed on Texas and that they were not going to go 9-3 and go over their projected win total. And he just thought that was the most ridiculous thing in the world because they're loaded, they're great, they're going to the Big 12 championship game. And how dare I say that they were a 5-win team last year? And I said, well, because they won 5 games. So it was quite the back and forth.
Yeah, he's looking at the odds too much, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's a Texas fan.
Yeah. Well, he'll be disappointed on early in the season, and he won't say a whole lot during the middle of the season. It's kind of amazing. They all went away after the Kansas game. All them Texas fans, they just completely left. Like it'd be a coincidence. I have no idea how it magically happened. But Mark, that's all I got for you. Hit the like button on the stream, guys, and go Cats.
Thanks to Real. Appreciate it. All right, moving right along here at the Voice of College Football. I want to remind everyone that we've got an Amazon link. Please use it. And also, we've got all sorts of videos that have been released here in the last few days, so check those out. And I always want to know from you guys what you are looking for in regards to video ideas. I just posted a comment from someone. I apologize for losing track of that, but they were asking about having a 30-day countdown to fall camp. So I like the idea. It sounds catchy. I don't know what necessarily we would do in counting down the days, but that's an idea there. We got Pitt taking on West Virginia, of course, on that opening Thursday night. And Pitt, one of those teams that, I don't know, could they take a tumble? Well, we are going to talk some Pitt football. We got Talk is Pitt on the line. How's
Hello,
it going?
Mark. Can you hear me?
We got you. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm just getting off of work. Couldn't do Gold and Blue Dudes live stream from earlier.
Appreciate you being here. What's on your mind?
Well, as you know, obviously my avatar, my name, everything, I'm a Pitt fan. I'm always going to bleed Panther blue and gold.
Yes.
But I feel that we're being underestimated as ACC contenders. I'm not saying we're going to do what we did last year with the amount of offensive stats we put up and everything, but the one thing, and you've even acknowledged it before on past shows, is no matter who we seem to lose on the defensive side of the ball, we produce very good results as far as sacks, tackle for losses, quarterback pressures, takeaways. And I think people are overshadowing the defense with us losing Addison and Mark Whipple and Kenny Pickett. Now, I will not sit up there and say we're going to win the ACC again. I say we don't. I say Miami finally wins it this year. And I still think we still have a possibility of winning 10 games, 9 games at the least. I just don't see 4 losses on our schedule, maybe a toss-up against Louisville. But we've beaten Louisville within the past 2 years before, even with Malik Cunningham. So I really don't see that much of a problem. Like, the only thing they have over us is we have to play them down in Louisville. When you look at Pitt and you look at what they lost, why don't you ever mention what we returned? Because we returned more production than almost anybody in the ACC. 16 starters.
Yeah. So you're talking about, are you talking about actual production or are you talking about starters? Those are two different things.
Well, production and chemistry is more what I'm leaning on. And I think that's something, speaking of the backyard brawl, that West Virginia does not have to the magnitude we do. Because they have to replace a good chunk of their defense. They are still figuring out their offense, and what Keaton Slovis has over JT Daniels is Slovis played in the spring game. Daniels didn't. Is the chemistry going to be there for West Virginia come September 1st? Not saying West Virginia is going to do horrible the whole entire year. I have them 8-4 at 9-3.
Yeah, so you probably may have heard, I don't know how much you get a chance to see my videos, but I did jump on that 8.5 over under on the downside for Pitt. That seemed to be a little high for me in projecting Pitt to go 9-3. So I jumped on the under there, and I'm looking at the depth chart right now for Pitt. So as you mentioned, the entire offensive line is back, and But your skill position players are not back, except Vincent Davis, who may be a backup this year. But 2, 4, 6, 7 defensive players, according to Athlons, are back in the starting lineup. So I think you've downgraded a quarterback. You've lost an All-American wide receiver. And you've got your 3 best rushers back from last year, who all hit for about 500 to 600 yards rushing. You're a good football team. This is also what I don't like, though, is right out of the gate, West Virginia and Tennessee. I understand they're both at home, but you would have to admit it's not a huge home field advantage, and you're probably going to split those 2 games.
Oh, I agree. I don't actually think we would win both those games in the first place. I actually did a prediction video on my YouTube channel, and that was one of the first things I talked about for Pitt. Is there's just no way we're winning both these games, because we're gonna be beat up by the time we play Tennessee, and I just don't see us having enough juice. I even predicted Pitt to lose that game by 14
against Tennessee.
I don't have Pitt beating Tennessee.
Okay, and then the non-division games are, of course, Syracuse and, like you said, at Louisville.
Yeah.
Okay.
Syracuse is no problem. They've only beaten us 5 times in the past 21 years. I don't really see much of a problem. I think it'll be closer than it was last year when we beat them 34-14, or may have been 31-14. And plus, that game's at home this time. It's at Heinz Field. Now, the Louisville was the toss-up game that I had. It could go 50-50. But the last time we played Louisville, which was in the COVID year, Malik Cunningham was held to 107 yards passing by the same defense we have now. We didn't lose anybody from that defense except Patrick Jones and Rashad Weaver.
All right, Talk is Pitt. Yeah, I think it's a 3-team race. I'm going to consider Miami and North Carolina and Pitt when I make my division championship selections. Those are the 3 teams I'm considering for sure. Your trip to face Brennan Armstrong in Virginia on the road, that's not going to be a cakewalk.
Oh, no, it wasn't a cakewalk last year. Honestly, I seriously thought we may end up losing that game, but Virginia's defense is notoriously horrible. And Kenny Pickett had one of his career days at Virginia, or playing against Virginia. And I just feel just a little bit underrated. I don't think we're overrated, because mostly everybody's picking us to fall off the cliff. Well, like we normally do. Every time we have a good season, we may win 9 games the following year, but after that, it will just start slowly falling apart. But I just don't think it's like that anymore. Not with the bump in recruiting we've had, not for this coming season, but for 23 and 24. And we even have a 5-star on campus right now for an official visit. Actually, 3 of them.
Yeah, let's see how it's going for you in the 2023 class.
I think we're ranked 24th the last time I checked.
Why can't I find it?
Pitt is the Northwestern of the ACC. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I thought you would enjoy that.
Yeah, okay. Northwestern can't even win the Big Ten. Have they ever won the Big Ten?
Well, in 1940 something, I think they have one all-time Big Ten championship, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you guys have 11 hard commits, including, all 3 stars, 39th right now, according to On3. I couldn't find your 247 ranking, but there's a long way to go.
Oh, there's a long way to go. It's actually ironic people talk about Kenny Pickett being drafted, because one Kenny out, two Kennys in. Got a 4-star quarterback commit in Kenny Minchie, and then there's Kenny Johnson, wide receiver from Dallastown, PA. And very excited about those two kids, because it's not normal that we get even a 4-star commit as far as a quarterback goes. I don't even remember the last time we even had one. Might have been Nathan Peterman, if he was a 4-star.
Yeah,
but he transferred.
I don't remember his. I don't remember his recruitment, but our guy Oink Oink is, man, slapping me across the face. A complete oversight on my part. Of course, Northwestern won the Big Ten in 1995. They went 8-1 and won the Big Ten that year, and played in the Rose Bowl against USC. So they did win the Big Ten championship pretty recently, 27 years ago.
Oh, well. I don't really follow Northwestern that much unless it has to do with basketball.
And they tied for a Big Ten championship in 2000 as well.
I don't like ties. I don't know if it's just me, Mark, but I think if there's going to be a tie, those two teams, that ties should play in a bowl game to actually decide who goes to the championship. I hate having teams tie for a championship. That's why Pitt never has an outright conference championship. We have one outright conference championship that we did not have to share with Cincinnati.
Well, that is prior to conference championship games. That's all settled now.
Oh, thank God. But the last thing I wanted to touch on is, does Miami, do you think the Miami Hurricanes have enough to finally actually win the ACC? And I don't mean just make it to the championship. I mean actually win it.
Yes. I don't necessarily I don't think that they're going to be a major player this year. If you told me right now that they were going to win the ACC championship this year, I wouldn't be shocked. But I still think Clemson and NC State are better, and Pitt and North Carolina, Louisville are just as good. Wake Forest just as good. So they'd have to have a special season, and a lot of things go well for them this season. But as you know from playing in the Coastal Division, they can easily win the Coastal Division. They have the best roster in the division. That's going to get them to the championship game and get them within an upset of winning the ACC. But I think long term, and I don't mean super long, I mean 2 to 4 years, that they should be able to build a program and shore up some of their bad spots, meaning offensive line, linebacker, to and they're recruiting really well right now. Their ranking's not impressive right this second, but they're recruiting well to get themselves in position to take down Clemson. And Florida State's not doing anything that's too impressive right now.
No. I stopped hearing a chatter from Florida State fans during COVID year whenever we went down to, where is it, Tallahassee? Is that where they're at? And absolutely demolished them 47-17. It was horrible. But as far as the Coastal goes, I think it's going to start looking like the Atlantic when you have the same team playing in the championship or playing in the ACC championship every year. I think it's going to start coming down to Pitt and Miami to decide who goes to the ACC championship. With the way we're recruiting, I just don't see us taking that big of a fall off. I just don't. There's a lot of stuff I agree with you on, a lot, but I just don't see us falling off like that. I just can't. Not even, you know who Pigskin Pete is. He doesn't even see us falling off the way everybody else does. I just don't see it.
Why have I said that you're going to fall off considerably?
Well, not exactly. Not to like, to way West Virginia fans are saying, like 7-5, 6-6. There's definitely not 5 losses on our schedule.
Yeah, they're
not
tough
even
to
Western
find.
Michigan.
That's for sure.
So I just don't think we're getting enough credit because we're Pitt. And even LaShawn McCoy said that on TV today whenever he got interviewed by Pac-Man Jones. He said nobody gets respect because they went to Pitt.
Well, it's hard for some people to envision Pitt being a mainstay because that 10-2 season last year in the regular season was the first double-digit winning season since when? Like the late 80s?
No, 2009.
2009, you had a 10-3 season.
Yeah.
Okay, but you get my point.
Oh, I do.
I do. One in 30 plus years.
Oh, I do. But I mean, the last time we won 10 games in 2009, we have the same offensive coordinator we do now, Frank Cignetti.
All right, Talkers Pit. I'm going to move it along to some of these other callers,
all
but I
right.
appreciate you jumping on.
No problem.
All right, Voice of College Football, breaking things down with all of you. And man, it's the last week of June. That makes me think that maybe we need to get started on predictions. The way I like to approach predictions is just to have a big preview show the night before the season, unveil all my predictions, but I know that's not the YouTube way, because then 2 days later, nobody cares. I should start unveiling predictions now and previews for the season. We'll have to get on that. But we got Sean Duffy on the line to talk up some college football. Sean, good to see you.
Hey, it's Sean from Centerville here, Land of the Elks, and just giving you a shout out tonight, walking the dog right now.
Nice.
Can you hear me okay?
We got you.
Awesome. So, another team I think that could maybe have a few kind of that drop that you were talking about with the previous caller. I think Notre Dame possibly could have they only lost 1 game last year. They're projected to lose 3, right? So if they just goofed up on 1 more, let's say a Stanford, then there's your that difference of 3. So I would say that's probably one team that is a possibility there.
You think Notre Dame could go 8-4?
Yeah, sure. I think they could lose to, let's say, Ohio State, and then they could lose to USC, Clemson, and then they just have to goof up 1 other game.
Yeah, true. I don't see it, but I get it.
Well, they got a new head coach, and
Yep.
I know Notre Dame fans are pretty confident in Buckner, but I've seen him play. I'm not that confident. I wouldn't be that confident in him if he was the Buckeyes quarterback. So, another thing, I was listening to a lot of the I&B. I've been listening to a lot of the different guys that we're going to be playing this year. It's interesting how they really love their running back room, but they forget they always talk about how well we have a top end player with Ohio State, and the guy's name's escaping me, but they always forget that Mayan Williams, I think, brings back the most yards per carry in the Big Ten. So they always kind of dismiss him. So if you ever
Are you talking about Notre Dame?
Yeah. The INB, I think that's what it's called, the INB network. Is that the heavyset guy you have on?
Irish
that
Breakdown.
You had on? Yeah, Irish Breakdown. They did like a position ranking, them versus Ohio State. And they almost made, it was kind of funny, they almost made the running back position a push. And they wanted to almost make the wide receiver position a push. So it's kind of, I think that's very Irish green, rosy glasses, so to speak. But, I just wanted to call in about that. And then also the recruiting has been really wild lately with obviously Arch Manning with Texas, but also with the Buckeyes landing 3 recruits in 3 days that are top-end wide receivers. That's pretty big news, and it was pretty cool to see that happen. The third guy happened on the Buckeye show, so maybe that was all timed. hit your show right at that time.
Yeah, that was a whole lot of fun. We try to go with breaking news live streams whenever that happens.
And let's see here. I'm thinking, just looking at who they had coming to play and camp out this weekend, they had quite a few high-end players, so that's really, really good to see. But I think it's going to be interesting with Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame, if they can hold on to the recruits that they're getting. I'm kind of thinking that, we'll see a few of these games, and maybe, maybe it's not going to be as good as what they think, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't want to get, I don't want to, they're the enemy, so to speak, right now for week 1. So I don't want to overplay it. But also, I just wanted to call you, say thanks for the show. It's a great show, and go Elks and go Buckeyes.
Appreciate that, Sean. Thanks for stopping by. Sean Duffy stopping by from nearby Columbus, Centerville, Ohio. And again, my aim tonight, because I have been admittedly annoyed by a lot of absurd college football posts on social media, was to track some of those down. But the Arch Manning news has been so prolific over the last couple of days is that it's taken me like an hour just to get through all of that. Certainly I had come across all sorts of stuff. I need to clip this stuff off and have it ready because it becomes rather amusing or annoying depending on my mood of what people post that makes no sense. And I find myself correcting these people routinely in these Facebook and Twitter posts all over the place. We had a great discussion with the publisher from College Football News. Please check out that video. We posted that earlier today here at the Voice of College Football. Let's see what else we've got slated here, either that we've recently posted or should be coming up soon. Keep also in mind that we've got 10 team live streams. 10: Miami, Florida State, Ohio State, Michigan, Nebraska, Iowa, West Virginia, Oklahoma, USC throughout the week. So please check out our team live streams on those team-specific channels here at the Voice of College Football. All right. I believe we've got another call coming in. And again, as we remind you on the screen, please shop Amazon. Use the link in the description section of the videos. Our friend Christopher's on the line, I believe from Colorado. Christopher, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Mark?
I'm good.
I just kind of was I wanted to test out your new format here. It seems like it works pretty well. I like it better, I guess, but that's without really trying it, I guess. I was just going to try to get your idea on a couple things. They probably already talked about it a little bit, but the last guy was at Talk His Pitt. He talked a little bit about where Pitt stood recently, and I don't know. I was just kind of curious what you thought. Do you think it's what do you think is the cause of the change in terms of there being a little bit more competitive, I guess, than is it Narduzzi? Is he the coach there? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, so he left Michigan State, let's see, after I'd have to really think about the year. He's been there about 5 years. Maybe a little more than that. I think this is his 6th or 7th season coming up at Pitt. Taking over for Paul Chryst, as you well know. So Pat Narduzzi's done a nice job. One thing that he has established there at Pitt is they are routinely in the top 2 or 3 in the nation in sacks defensively every year. And then they were able to find one of the best quarterback wide receiver combinations in college football last year with Kenny Pickett and Jordan Addison, with Mark Whipple as one of the best offensive coordinators in the game. But Whipple's gone to Nebraska, Pickett's gone to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Jordan Addison's gone to USC. So their offense needs to be revamped to a certain extent, at least in the passing game.
The other question, I guess I was gonna, what I was curious about, because I think they're still expecting Clemson to really do well, which would make sense since they're obviously one of the top contenders, no matter really who's there. But I was thinking maybe. Do they have a pretty good recruiting class this year? I haven't really kept up with it. Are they one of the top recruiting teams? I know that kind of goes along with teams that stay solid. Did they have a really good recruiting class this year?
Pitt, in terms of the team, the freshmen that are coming in this fall, or the one that's being recruited right now for 2023?
Well, no, I just like you talked about how they had the Kenny Pickett, and then I was just curious how much of that was that based on how do they recruit the players to these? Because I don't really know that I quite understand. I know when you have a good program that kind of sells itself, but was that the reason that Pittsburgh was so much better? Was it because they were able to bring in better players? Is that what it kind of comes down to, or was it something else?
It's more about the coaching, I believe. They did not have some amazing recruiting class or 2 or 3 at all during that that would have supplied the talent for the roster for this particular season. So no, they didn't have any upsurge in recruiting. But of course, Kenny Pickett's been around forever. He started the last couple of games of 2017, so they had a 5th-year player at starting quarterback and arguably the best wide receiver in college football this past year. So I just think a lot of things came together for them offensively. And again, one of the best offensive coordinators in college football, in Mark Whipple. And I think they have a really good team. I think they have a really strong team. But their recruiting classes have not been stellar. They've been fine for them.
Right.
But that's what it's been. Now, you may be aware of Keaton Slovis, the former USC quarterback. He's transferred and will be starting for Pitt this year.
I guess I don't really keep up with it close enough to really follow that. But I guess the question, maybe I'm not asking it correctly. When you have a program like Pitt, which I know has been a pretty top contender for a long time, does it just market itself, or do these teams have to really? I guess the question I have is, do they really have to go out and really recruit hard, or do they kind of self-recruit to where you do well, and then maybe there's a bunch of, you just have to kind of pick who you want?
No, they've got to grind. These coaches work relentlessly, tirelessly, especially at a place like Pitt, because they are in a state in Pennsylvania that's got solid high school football play, but it's nowhere near the top end. And so they've got to try to get their share from Penn State, in-state, and then the surrounding areas fairly strong in the Mid-Atlantic, Maryland, Virginia. But I got to think that Pitt, I'm going to guess before I look at their roster that a large percentage of their players are from Florida as well. But they're not getting the best players from Florida. They're getting the top 200 players from Florida, in that range. But no, recruiting, my goodness, I would not want to be a coach that had to recruit, because it's just nonstop. It's tireless. Just, watching film of these guys, going to camps constantly, trying to build relationships with them, going to high schools, talking to coaches and administrators constantly to make sure how they check out in terms of how they interact with their teammates and in school and all of that. And it's a grind, recruiting.
I remember when I went to school, I was actually at Colorado University, and if I remember correctly, they had some in-state recruits, but the better players I think they had to recruit were from Texas, for example. And I know Bill McCartney, I think the better players, you probably remember who they were, but I think some of them they had to recruit out of California. And I don't remember really that many from Florida, but I think they said that I know that he focused primarily like on Texas, and I think he said California, and then I don't think he did that. I don't know how many. I guess I should say it this way. I really don't know how many he recruited from the Colorado, but I think he was able to keep a few of the better players from going somewhere else. And I don't really remember too many from Florida, but I know that I think there's a lot of really good players that come from those 3 states, aren't there? Aren't they a lot of them?
Yeah, traditionally, Florida, Texas, and California have been the 3 best states, although Georgia has supplanted California.
Uh-huh. One other thing I was just going to ask you, because I kind of gave you a text or whatever, and you said you didn't like the idea, for example, of, because you were talking maybe about either Oklahoma or Texas, whether they probably both are committed to being in the SEC, but I offered as an alternative Kansas. I guess you didn't like that idea very much.
I don't think the SEC would like that idea very much.
Well, they and Missouri are kind of they kind of go together a little bit. I think that's kind of why.
Yep. I understand your thought process there. Is there anything else in regards to, I know you served up Tulane and Kansas for the SEC. Was there anything else?
Well, no, what I was trying to do, I guess I don't always give a good explanation for what I'm trying to do. I wasn't trying to like shortchange the SEC. That's what people look at it as, like, oh, you're trying to shortchange. No, I was thinking, I know these schools probably aren't the top teams. I mean, they would probably be better served, I guess, with taking the top 2 teams. But I don't know that you lose a whole lot, though, with like even with Tulane. I know they didn't have a very good team last year, but, they put Oklahoma to the test. I mean, I don't know what else they had to do other than beat them to kind of prove that they might. I guess my question might be is, what is it exactly they're looking? I know you say that there's a greater, shared income or something from having the top, but I kind of wonder if that's true because, to share the income means you have to be, I don't really look at those schools as being maybe as solid as they used to be. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong, Mark, but I know in the 80s or, it would be no question, but I kind of wonder if we're looking at things the right way anymore because, whether or not Texas was a bad team last year, they still lost to Kansas, and then Oklahoma almost lost to Tulane. I don't know what else they have to do other than just simply win to kind of convince you that they might be better. Am I looking at it wrong?
No, you're not looking at it wrong, but simply Kansas, number one, they don't have a football brand that attracts an audience. They have had a horrible football team for 10 years, and there's just no comparison between Kansas and Texas and Oklahoma as a commodity.
Well, I'm still thinking in terms of maybe just being practical in terms of geography and, like I said, if they're competitive, I mean, I don't know what else they have. Like I said, maybe that was a fluke year. Maybe not in the next 10 years, they'll lose 100-0. But, if they can challenge now, I don't know what else they would have to do to prove that they might be competitive. That's kind of what I'm asking you is I don't know. I don't know what else they have to do other than just to win. But I guess, maybe the idea is that, if they can bring in Oklahoma and Texas, maybe that'll bring in a larger audience, I guess, for the SEC games.
Well, that's exactly what they have to do to show that they're competitive. That would be to win.
Yeah.
But they are the worst team in the country in doing that.
You didn't see the Tulane-Oklahoma game? I mean, it came down to the end of it. I know Spencer Rattler didn't play his best game, but I mean, sure. It wasn't like it was it kind of was actually lopsided at halftime, but Tulane came back and made it close. I don't know if you remember that game.
Oh yeah, 40-35. Okay. I do.
Okay, well, I guess you have to beat them then to make I guess you can't just you have to beat them.
No. So I think there's a combination there. Yeah, eventually you've got to notch some wins, but I think that showed a lot for one game. But that's one game.
Right.
Tulane. If you would look back on their last 10 years of playing Power 5 opponents, I'm going to guess that they've won less than 20% of their games.
I'd have to look at it. How many years you want to go back on it?
10.
10 years?
Well,
yeah, I'd have to look at it.
So they lost to Oklahoma last year. So there's a site called Historical Scores. I think it's a great site, except for the only problem is is that it looks like they've become defunct and they no longer post any more scores. So they only go through the 2020 season. But if we go Tulane in 2020, well, that was the COVID year. They didn't play anyone non-conference Power 5. The year before, they lost to Auburn by 18. In 2018, they lost to Wake Forest by 6, competitive game. They lost to Ohio State by 43. That's pretty typical. In 2017, they lost to Oklahoma by 42. They're usually playing one Power 5 team. In 2016, they lost to Wake Forest by 4. So that's 0-6. 2015, they lost to Georgia Tech by 55.
Okay.
That's 0-7. 2014, they lost to Georgia Tech by 17. They lost to Duke by 33. They lost to Rutgers by 25. We're to 0-10. 2013, they lost to Syracuse by 35. 0-11.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not competitive against.
Well, no, but they're also kind of in a. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but they're also not. It's putting a lot on a team that's not in the P5. I mean, I think it's a tough challenge to meet, isn't it?
Absolutely. So I think I'm following your line of thinking. If they were thrust immediately into the SEC, could they recruit better? Absolutely, they could. But there's just no. That is such a huge leap for Tulane to go to the SEC.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it for the SEC. There is no gain for the SEC.
Well, no, but I guess what I was thinking though was, I don't disagree with you on what you're telling me, but I was thinking more in terms of like, how like the SEC, just in general, they tend to be quite a bit better than the average, even the only conference I think that kind of compares with them relatively speaking. And I think you talked to, I think it's Tim Prangley or whatever, they're close to being the same as the Big Ten, but that's only because the Big Ten has tried to make improvement. And so there isn't a huge gap between, I don't think, the Big Ten and the SEC, but what I was kind of thinking was if we could get more teams, I guess, involved in all the, I guess, I don't know how good Tulane is, but try to get some of the better teams in the power conferences that aren't maybe P5, then that might make it easier for, I guess, another team like, I don't know who it would be, but maybe Fresno State or someone that isn't necessarily quite up to the same level. If there's like a greater, broader landscape, I guess, of teams that are competitive, am I wrong about that? Wouldn't that kind of tend to elevate everybody else? That's the question I have, Mark, because I know that people don't necessarily want to see like Tulane, for example. Let's just use Tulane. Like, remember in 1998, I don't think anybody really thought they were the national champion, but because they went undefeated and they beat I don't say a good team. They beat BYU's usually pretty good. So the fact they beat BYU in the Liberty Bowl, whether it makes them a better team or not, I don't know, but it elevates them up to getting close to because BYU is getting close to being a P5 now. It's moving them closer to being up at that level of competition. I'm just thinking maybe it shouldn't be Tulane, but, if there's a team like Tulane, maybe a Tulsa or I don't know who's in the other teams that we might think about, Memphis maybe, a team like that's already kind of playing to that degree. Why is that such a big problem to put them in maybe it shouldn't be Tulane, but why would that be a problem?
It's a huge problem, Christopher. So this is not an experiment. If it was an experiment, it would be fascinating to say, let's throw Tulane in the SEC and see if they can build their program and see how much being in the SEC pays off in terms of recruiting because they're located in New Orleans. So I get it. But the SEC is not about running experiments. They're about running a business.
Okay.
So for Tulane, who has gotten their brains beat in by the Power 5 for the last game I found that they beat a Power 5 was in 2006. They beat Mississippi State.
Okay.
But since then, they have gotten blasted by an average of like 5 touchdowns a game, like 20 consecutive games. Yeah. They're nowhere close to competing in the SEC. Those if you took the current Tulane roster and put them versus an SEC schedule. And I'm not talking about playing one SEC team one time, because that's typically what they do. They'll play Mississippi State or Oklahoma or somebody of that ilk, but they only do it once. If they had to play those teams every week, I don't know that the roster would survive the season. They may not have players to play by the end of the year.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that either, but I guess my question would be, though, in terms of, the SEC, I understand kind of what you're telling me. I mean, they're not going to extend an invitation to anybody that's not going to help them raise their profile, but I'm just thinking in terms of making it better for everybody else. I mean, like I said, I think Oklahoma, this is just my opinion, Mark. I'm not saying I'm right about it at all, but I don't really understand why they can't just, for example, let's just pretend I was in charge, and I'm not saying I would do this because I'd lose my job if I did, but, I would look for the better teams that aren't maybe already committed to somewhere else. And so I would maybe look at a Kansas, because I would look at them and be like, well, with the Big 12 being kind of the way it is, that might not be a bad team, moving forward. It's not that, people look at it, it's like, well, you're giving us Kansas and I'm trying to give you the best, potentially better team moving forward. It might not be the first team you think about, but, if they can beat Texas already, who's to say they might not beat them again? I mean, it's kind of where I'm coming from.
Chris, okay. I guess I understand your approach here, but you've said in the last minute a few different times that the SEC, they would be out there looking for the best teams. Well, they've already acquired them. They've acquired Texas and Oklahoma.
Well,
and their ability, not just on the field this past season, but looking at the resources, the recruiting, the money, the facilities, their potential. For Texas, it's been more about potential. For Oklahoma, it's results on the field.
Right.
Blow Kansas away. There's no comparison between. It's just, it's not even worth a discussion. It's just not even comparable.
I'm not sure that's completely accurate, Mark, because
it is accurate. It is accurate. There was no comparison between Oklahoma and Texas and Kansas as football brands and commodities as businesses. It's not even close. Nobody watches Kansas play football. People watch Oklahoma and Texas play football.
Sure.
Their TV ratings are horrible. Nobody watches Kansas play football.
Well, they play basketball, though.
We're not talking about basketball. We're talking about football. And football is what drives the SEC's decisions, not basketball.
All right.
Basketball is a consideration, but it's a small consideration compared to football.
Okay. Well, I guess, like I said, I just think in terms of geography, and I just wonder if they're taking all that into consideration. And I understand why they would maybe, given a choice between maybe Oklahoma, and I understand why they would maybe take Oklahoma, but I just don't know if that's the smartest thing to do as far as making your conference better as a whole, because like I said, I think you can get more out of Kansas, I think, than maybe what you're giving them credit for, but that's just my opinion.
Chris,
I'm not saying I know.
The smartest thing that they can do. When Oklahoma and Texas came and said, we want to join the SEC, that was the smartest thing that the SEC could have done.
Yeah, but they had to do
two superpowers to their conference, not go looking for Kansas or Tulane.
They shouldn't have done that because they were supposed to stay there until 2020. Was it 2023 or 20? They weren't supposed to have any discussions. They were kind of went outside the. I don't know. I guess I'm frustrated by it all because I just think that the SEC's kind of, whether it was their decision or the SEC's, I just don't agree with it.
I don't like it either. I don't think it's good for college football. I agree with you there. I don't like it.
So is it going to stop at 16? Or are they going to bring in Ohio State, Michigan? Are they just going to keep going until they have all the good teams and then?
Maybe.
Okay, well, that's kind of what I mean.
Oh, that's your best point, Chris. Is not good for college football. I agree with you there. Absolutely, it is not good for college football. We would rather have a strong Big 12 and a strong SEC, and all the teams to be and the conferences to be somewhat equal.
Right. Well, that's what I was trying to tell you. That's all. I wasn't trying to say that I have a better idea. I just thought if they would maybe take the best teams that are available, and I'm not saying it would necessarily be Kansas, but if it was Kansas, why isn't that okay? I guess I just don't understand it.
Because the SEC has nothing to gain by adding Kansas. They're a drag on the conference.
I don't know why I don't see it, though, because I kind of think that would actually build them up.
Kansas is horrible. They're horrible every year. Nobody goes to the games. Nobody watches them on TV. But why would the SEC want to take on a losing commodity?
No, I wouldn't recommend they do it unless they're. But I think that actually Kansas is. They have a lot. I think they're better. I think they're a better fit than maybe what you. But that's okay. I mean, we're not going to agree on it, so that's all right.
All right,
I think
I'm going to move on. Thanks for the call.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Oh, let's bring in Exploring with Ben here. Sorry, we're going to remove J-Dub. J-Dub, hang in there.
Okay.
The little box is shifted, and I want to stay in order in terms of who showed up. So we got Exploring with Ben here. How's it going, man?
I'm not going to take any of your time, Mark, because I harassed you enough on emails. I will watch Kansas football all day long, so I take offense to that. But Kansas is garbage. They're exciting football. I want to give a shout out just real quickly because Tim decided not to call in. Apparently, he bothers you too much. So hopefully, the real MVP likes that Kentucky helmet.
Nobody's bothering me. Have I stated that about anybody?
Well, and I'm just saying, hopefully, the real likes the Kentucky helmet.
Yes,
and shout out to Cheryl and myself for any veterans. Also in the chat for the Army and the Navy and Air Force. I couldn't find a good Army helmet, so yeah, I had to settle for the Navy and Air Force for now.
I appreciate that.
And West Virginia will be next. Oh, Neil is in the chat now too. There's Neil. Finally, where's that wolf pack?
Wait a minute. I'm supposed to have a NC State? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay, never. You're talking Nevada.
Yeah, he's the Wolfpack. Yeah, I was like, oh, Neil showed up. There's some people missing tonight, but Neil showed up. Yeah, I'm not going to take your time, Mark, because myself, I have to get up at 3 a.m. for a flight home. So,
oh man,
I just wanted to check in, and I'm glad you got the helmets though, because I was starting to get worried. Like they literally got lost.
Well, no, I just went down there a week ago, and they, at whatever point they were supposed to be there anyway, they were there today, so that's what counted. Yeah.
I do wish Remick was here right now to see the Utah helmet too, but again, he is not in the chat also, so he'll see it eventually.
Tim wants you to talk about the chat last night.
Tim, I don't remember the chat last night. Oh well, we did a little stream stuff, and we did some a Clemson FSU game kind of rewatch.
Oh, sweet.
It was actually kind of fun. Yeah, One Scoop was there. Yeah, it was kind of fun.
I'm going to test that out someday. I should start doing that where I can pull and screen share, but I don't want to kill my monetization. But yeah, we could replay games, and then going forward into this new season, like we could have a rewatch Sunday, rewatch Monday, and just maybe grab a bunch of cut down versions of the top games.
Yeah, I don't know how that works with YouTube and replays of monetization. That's a gray area. I'm not really sure how that works. So that's an experiment. But all right, Mark, I'll let you go.
Thanks, man.
And on to your next caller.
Yeah, get some sleep. All right. Now we're joined by J-Dub.
Hey, how we doing? What an early call for Exploring Ben. Wow. Did he say 3 a.m.? Holy cow.
Yeah, that's a bit rough.
Oh boy, that Kansas football. I think I watched them lose in Ames 56-7 in the rain last year, something like that. Kansas is 0. And what a ridiculous, insane, out of your bleeding gourd to think that the SEC would. First of all, they're not going to go past the 16. They've got what they want now. Why on earth would they want to add Kansas? I mean, oh my, come on.
Tulane as well.
And Tulane, yeah. Why not just take the privateers? Just grab New Orleans as well, and maybe Western Kentucky. Some of these ideas of this expansion, it's kind of like yellow and navy guy who keeps thinking that the ACC wants left Virginia. They don't want left Virginia. They don't want them at all. But he thinks they do. So let him have their little world, I guess. I wanted to ask you, and I can't think of the guy's name that does the Iowa show.
Corey.
I'm hearing kind of some creepies, and of course I'm on Iowa State's campus a couple times a week, and I don't get over to Iowa City hardly during the off season. But there's starting to be some creepy crawlies that this might be it for Ferentz, that this might be his final year. I wonder if that's the case, if he steps down. Now, since 1979, it's been Hayden Fry and Kirk Ferentz, and that's it at Iowa. I mean, they're the Pittsburgh Steelers of college football. Is the Iowa job attractive enough that it would, if they were willing to spend the money, and I'm not sure they would be, but is the chance to be the head coach at Iowa, does that attract the top level candidates, do you think?
So a top level candidate to me would be, of course, these guys aren't looking for jobs now, but looking at this past offseason, Brian Kelly, Lincoln Riley, those kind of guys?
Right.
I don't think so. Doesn't have the recruiting base to be that level attractive like Southern Cal and LSU. And yes, you're limited.
Yes, I would agree. I don't think you get the Hollywood star type caliber coaches are not going to beat the door down to go to Iowa City. But on the other hand, I think you can win here. With all the things that, first of all, you got to try to convince a kid to come to Iowa City. I mean, first of all,
I've never
and
been there.
Try to, and you're going to try to convince a wide receiver, come here and catch 20 passes for 300 yards. But at some point, the Big Ten West is not so dominated, that the right combination couldn't come here and win. I think you get the right coach in here, and Iowa's going to do what Iowa does. They're going to win 8 games. Every now and then they're going to win 9. At some point, they're going to knock somebody off at home in Iowa City that they're not supposed to. Like last year, they got Penn State. This year, they'll have Wisconsin and Michigan both in Iowa City. They're going to probably get one of those two. It's not like it's an unattractive job.
Sure. Well, everything you just explained there, J-Dub, is exactly what Hayden Fry established after they were awful in the 60s and 70s. They were atrocious. He built it, as you mentioned, starting in 1979. They got good by 81. They went to the Rose Bowl that year. And they pretty much were what you just explained. His tenure is pretty close in terms of winning percentage to Kirk Ferentz's, of going 8-4 a lot, popping up with a 10-2 kind of year, and 6-6 is kind of the basement, but usually 8-4, going to a decent bowl game. And they've both pretty much done the same thing. Now, I don't know, since that's what we've seen for now almost 45 years practically, if there's somebody out there that can do better, but I don't think they can get, again, Brian Kelly, Lincoln Riley type of a hire. But maybe that next, PJ Fleck took the Minnesota job out after Western Michigan. If they can find the next PJ Fleck, then that's what they should be looking for.
Yeah, I just think it's I don't think Iowa's ever going to be a world beater. I don't think they're never going to be Ohio State. They're never going to be Michigan, but they're always going to be hanging around the top there. And I just don't think it would take. I don't think it would take that much more to make them just a little bit better. Instead of being the 8-win-a-game season, I think they could get to the 9 or 10 game-a-win season. But the problem I have with the Hawks is I just don't see that the school as an institution just doesn't seem to be bought into the idea. They apparently are just fine. You've got decades of evidence. They apparently are just fine being 8 wins, 9 wins, and hey, we get a bowl someplace warm, so we don't have to stay here. We don't have to be in Iowa in the middle at the end of December. We can go somewhere to travel to a nice bowl game, and they do travel well, and that's who they are, and they're happy with who they are.
And you've probably heard us enough on the Iowa show that I don't understand that mentality. And I know it's not easy to win in college football. I know that it's not easy, and I have all sorts of respect for Kirk Ferentz. I think he's an exceptional coach, but yeah, like you just stated, it appears as though that they're fine with that. And I don't know what there is to lose in saying, we've got the defense down, we got the special teams down. Let's try to upgrade at the quarterback position. This transfer portal offseason for quarterbacks was exceptional. They passed by 15 quarterbacks who are better than their current quarterback, but they didn't move.
Yes, I thought they would make an effort for somebody like JT Daniels, and that's just to throw a name out there. Somebody of that caliber would be an enormous upgrade.
Yes,
over where they're sitting right now, and apparently they just want to stay pat, or they're they're happy where they're at. And I understand the hey, it's not broke, because the program's not broken in Iowa City. It's just fine. It's just like, you could drive a really, really nice car, and instead you kind of settled for the bland 4-door sedan. You got kind of like the minivan when you could have upgraded a little bit and gotten the nicer SUV, and you just went, nah, let's just stick with the minivan, and it's frustrating because there are those of us here who, and I am no Hawkeye fan at all, but there are those of us here who think they could take the next step up and go from a B+ level program to maybe an A, but it's like they themselves don't want to do it.
Well, I'm going to take, J-Dub, your analogy from cars and transition it to a house. Let's say the house is rock solid. The foundation's good. The roof is good. Everything that matters, the plumbing, the electrical, it's all sound. It's perfect. But the landscaping's bad. The grass needs mowed. It needs trimmed. It needs a fresh coat of paint. And it would be beautiful. But nobody knows that it's a good house because they look at it and they think it's a dump because you didn't mow the grass and you didn't give it a fresh coat of paint. But everything is solid about the important part of the house, but nobody knows it.
Yep. And it's just, you sit here, I've been here for 30 years on the sidelines of Jack Trice and at Kinnick, and I just watch it, and every year I see the same thing from Iowa, and I was there. I was very blessed to be at the Penn State game last year. The atmosphere was incredible. It was absolutely insane. It was so loud that those of us who were in the back of the south end zone were having to really raise our voice to hear each other. It was just really crazy in there, especially after Clifford got hurt and it looked like the Hawks had a chance. And it's just like, and there might be other schools out there who are just like Iowa, and you could plug in a name there. It's just like, you're right there, but what's holding you back is you yourself. It's not somebody else. It's not like Iowa's got an Alabama that they've got to try to climb over, or somebody like that, and they're like, well, we're never going to reach that level. They could be the Wisconsin that's always hovering around the conversation for the Big Ten. They could easily be that team. It just kind of drives me crazy that they don't apparently want to put the effort in. Hey, I've taken way too much time. I'll get out of the way and let everybody else come in here, but I'd like to hear from some other people in the chat, or maybe somebody who calls in. Are there other programs out there? Is there a team that you like or somebody that you root for who is an Iowa? They're the same thing every year, and like Mark said, the house is in fine shape, but nobody knows it.
Good stuff, J-Dub. Appreciate you stopping by, man.
Mash the thumbs up, people. Mash that thumbs up. Thanks, Mark.
Our guy J-Dub on the line, Alabama fan in Iowa. Neil, thank you. Thank you so much for the contribution. It is very generous of you. Thank you so much. Been a while. Sorry, working. Here is my apologies for running my small business. Love you guys. And Mark, keep doing what you do. We will keep doing what we're doing, and we just want to do it better. So trying to figure out ways to do it better. A couple weeks will pass by, and I'll think, man, what I want to do here is, and I've told you guys this ad nauseum in the last few months, especially during the one live stream where we did a channel update, is I want to post a video every day with analysis, with like nationally based, not that it couldn't be centered on Alabama versus Georgia or Ohio State, Michigan, but it's nationally based. It's a big topic here on the main channel every day. I just get bogged down driving through these team channels and recording constantly and doing all these other team live streams. Maybe a little too much focus on the team channels because I want to deliver something really good here every day, come up with a great topic and deliver it. I've got my Big Ten quarterback rankings. I've had them sitting here for 5 days. I just haven't recorded it. Things like that. So thank you for saying keep doing what you do. We, again, just want to do it better. So we have not reached our peak here at the Voice of College Football. We can do all of this much better. Oink, oink. I certainly agree with this comment. Can you imagine if Iowa plucked away Matt Campbell from Iowa State? Why not? I don't know if he would make that move, if he would feel that, okay, this is, I don't think it's a lateral move. I think it's a step up, but it's not a significant step up. That maybe that he would also feel uncomfortable making that move. He would feel fine leaving Iowa State for a significant jump to another conference to go coach. And again, this is a different conference, but they're in the same state. So he may not be comfortable making that move. And it would be again, I think it's a move up, but it's not a significant move. It's not going to Michigan. It's not going to Oklahoma. But yes, if Iowa could pull the trigger, if they could get Matt Campbell to come in replacing Kirk Ferentz, then yes, that's a great hire. Because he's still young and he's proven and he knows the territory, the region. That would be exceptional. Dying Breed, you're giving Hawkeye fans nightmares right now. Nightmares. Michael is saying delusional is telling America in college football that Ohio State is going undefeated because of the offense, and that's exactly what was promoted last year, and you almost lose 3 games, no defense. Well, Ohio State could go undefeated this year. That's not out of the question. But yes, they do need to fix the defense. They will not go undefeated with a defensive performance like they had last year. They will lose to some semblance of Notre Dame, Michigan, maybe Penn State, maybe somebody else, Wisconsin, if they do not fix the defense to be at least, top 30, top 40? All right. Never needing fixing. Is our guy George. George is on the line with us.
Hello, Aunt Susan. Oh, wait, you're not my Aunt Susan.
No.
Never mind. Hey, Mark.
There you go. Your second.
I dialed the wrong number.
You dialed the wrong number. You're here.
I thought I was calling my Aunt Susan, but that's okay now that I'm here.
George is here, everyone. What do you got for us? George, can you tune me down in the background? I'm hearing myself like 5 seconds later.
I don't usually do that. I'm sorry. I had you on speaker for some reason.
Quite all right.
Hey, when I jumped in the show, I saw Neil with a $300 super chat.
That was very nice.
Did you see that?
I surely
Have you
did.
seen that yet?
Yeah, I did see
That
it. I
is
read
wild.
it off. It's phenomenal. Yes.
And then there was $100 one too.
There was? I better hunt that
Oh,
down.
I think
don't like to miss people's super chat.
maybe not.
Okay.
Maybe not.
I don't think
Might
I
have
missed
been.
it.
All these people talking to me in the chat, but I can't talk to him right now. I'm on live. Florida lost DeMarcus Bowman today. He transferred to us from Clemson.
Yes.
5-star running back, and
Yeah.
he abandoned the team today.
He abandoned. Really?
Well, we were over the limit. We had to get rid of at least one more player, so I guess.
Okay. Gators running back DeMarcus Bowman enters the NCAA transfer portal. I thought, okay, this is getting confusing because I thought, and I confirmed this with a zillion people, that the transfer portal had to be entered by May 1st for you to be eligible for the 22 season.
Right. He's going to have to sit out a year or something. He can't play this year.
Really?
I think that's the way it works. If you don't get where you're going by May 30th, or
well, yeah, that was my thought as well. And
22nd,
it states that here on 247 Sports that Bowman will have to sit out the year. Huh. Interesting. Okay.
He was a 5-star out of high school. I don't know how much weight that carries anymore. He's transferred twice already. He's only played like 5 plays in his career. You know, it just doesn't always work out just because you're a 5-star. But I liked it the way it used to be. You stayed somewhere for 3 or 4 years or 5 years, and eventually you got on the field and you had your shot. This is ridiculous what we're doing now. It's insane. It's free agency with no rules and open payments under the table, over the table. They have ruined college football. We just haven't seen the full-blown effects of it yet. This is ridiculous. God.
Yeah. When we talk about NIL, I have no issues with the NIL. I have issues with all the transferring and not adhering to and following through on the guidelines and the rules. The rules is there about the one-time transfer rule.
Right.
Well, so he's transferring for a second time, and that's why he has to sit out.
Well, that's a good point. Right. Right. He fumbled twice during the spring game. That could have done it alone right there. Billy Napier might have suggested he transfer, I think he's fumbled a few times on it in the real games. That's a kiss of death for a running back if you fumble too many times. I wish him well, though. He's from Lakeland, Florida. He's homeboy.
Yeah. You just wonder what went wrong there for him to sacrifice a season, have to wait now all the way. He's got to wait 1.5 years practically to play again.
Right. The other day, the article said Florida jettisons 3 players. So 3 mainstream guys on our team, we jettisoned them. I don't recall ever reading that before in a news article about my football team, that we jettisoned 3 players. This is just like open. It's like professional football now. We got to get below the cap. And I don't know. It just seems weird. It wasn't talked about before. They used to drift off and go somewhere else, but now it's just openly like professional football. You're cutting people that are on scholarship, full scholarship, just cut them off the team. Is that even legal? Can you do that? You just cut people's scholarships and say bye?
When the article says jettisoned, I think that's misleading. The players made the decision to leave.
I don't know. The way it was written, when those 3 players left Florida, it was like Napier had to cut the roster, and those 3 were the ones he picked. Hi, Cheryl.
Well, that's okay. I'm looking at it right now. Okay. I'm looking at exactly what you saw from the Orlando Sentinel.
Yeah.
Yes. But shoot,
Yeah.
they've got a pop out. I can't read the article because they blocked me.
Do you know what? They do that to me too. I get 1 or 2 free articles a year, and then they want you to sign up a subscription. I don't give a damn about ever reading their articles. If they don't want to put them online and get views, I would never, ever, ever subscribe to any of these newspapers and 247 and all those sports things. God, there's like 100 other articles about the same subject. I don't need to read it in the Orlando Sentinel. It's not like they're the only ones that have the information.
Okay.
Everybody does that now.
Okay, I'm trying another one to see. They're not letting me either. So anyway, it says in the headline, like you say, jettisons 3 Gators to reduce roster size.
Right. Doesn't it sound like a pro football thing where you got to get under a certain number by a certain day?
See, once they sign a player to scholarship, unless the player does something wrong to violate that scholarship, I think they have to, even if he turns out to be the crappiest player in the history of mankind, they have to honor that scholarship.
Interesting. Maybe they found him a deal at another school. Maybe there's something going on in the back room, and they told him West Virginia will take him or something. I don't know. So what do we got? Like 60 days till college football?
We're working on something like that. A little bit more than that.
62 or 3, something. It's getting close. It's within sight.
Tomorrow's Saturday, so that's a perfect full week. So I think we're looking at whatever 11 times 7, 77. I think it might be less than that. I think it's 10 weeks. I think we're at 70. Tomorrow is 70 weeks, 70 days, 10 weeks. Yeah.
That long. I can't wait. You know, years ago, my proposition was that we give every player on the team, I think I used to say 30 or 40,000 a year, but it was team wide because it's a team sport. And instead they do this where the quarterback's going to get 7 million and the offensive lineman get 0. I mean, this is ridiculous. Just ridiculous.
Well,
it should be evenly. Go
that's
ahead.
That's coming from an outside organization, though.
It just don't make sense.
So George, if you ran whatever business, you sold cigarettes, and you're a Florida football fan, and you wanted to partner with a Florida football team, you as a private business have the opportunity and the option to partner with whomever you want on that Florida football team. And if it's Anthony Richardson that you want to partner with and nobody else, then that's who you're going to partner with. And that's the free market.
It would be better if all the money went into a kitty and it got split up amongst all the players. And then if your whole team is making 100,000 a year, that's fine. And everybody would know it's thanks to that great quarterback that we're all getting 100 grand a year. But everybody on every team should be getting even amount, 30, 40, 50, 100. Because put the quarterback out there by himself and see how he does. Hey, Uncle Rico, $4.99 super chat.
Uncle Rico doesn't know apparently that I'm circumventing George's appearance fee. It all comes to me. Sorry, Uncle Rico. George, if you want to give me some kind of Venmo or PayPal address, I can send you your appearance fee.
Thank you, though. Just put that in a kitty.
Well, YouTube's going to take its slice, and then it goes in the kitty.
For about 3 or 4 years, about once or twice a month, I go to a secondhand store, and I always go in there for one thing, just to look for cast iron skillets, because I only have one. Today, after about 3 years, I found a Dutch oven cast iron already seasoned for $20, and it was 30% off. So for $14, I got a cast iron already seasoned, practically brand new skillet. Isn't that great? Dutch oven, I mean.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
They're hard to find. I hate new ones. New ones, you have to season them from scratch.
Yeah.
That is, you smoke up your whole house. Your whole house smells like burnt oil for a month when you're done. You ever done that? You ever seasoned a skillet from scratch?
No. I just let it break itself in. I have no cooking tips or anything. I am
Hey,
the best
Mark.
cook right now I have ever been in my life, and that's still awful. Yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, Mark, never ever eat out of an unseasoned cast iron skillet. Do you know why?
Do you
I
get
didn't
some
know
kind of
this.
poisoning?
Yes, yes. If you get iron poisoning in you, there's no way to get it out of you. There's no way they can suck it out of you, and it will kill you. That's why you have to season a cast iron skillet. Don't season it by cooking in it and eating the stuff. You got to season it first, and it creates a polymer. You know what I mean? That oil turns into a polymer, and it seals the pan. Otherwise, you're eating iron. You're getting iron in the food, and once you get too much iron in you, you're just done. You're finished. You're through. It's iron poisoning, and they can't draw it out of you. They can't suck it out of you. You're done. How is anybody still alive? That's what I want to know, because I didn't know that shit till a few years ago.
Yeah.
I'm amazed we're still standing.
Yeah. Every day you learn of something else that could possibly kill you, but
It's
needless
just
to say, we're here.
unbelievable. There's these plants that if you touch them, they give you third-degree burns. Do you know about those?
No.
Hogwort or whatever it's called. Yeah,
No.
they're up in the north. They're up in the northeastern United States.
Well,
They look
that's where I am.
like Queen Anne's lace. And if you just rub against them in the sunshine and the sunshine hits it, you get third-degree burns wherever you touch it. If you touch your eyes, you go blind. They have a plant out here in Oregon. What's it called? Water. Damn. Anyway, if you just rub up against that, it'll kill you. There's a tree called a yew tree. If you get that stuff on you, it can kill you. I'm amazed anybody's still here on this planet. That's not even counting spiders and snakes. Those are just plants.
All right, George. I think we're going to shut things down here. I think we've hit that time. I'm about toast at this point.
Yeah, you've been here a while. Hey, we got 3 95-degree days coming in Oregon for the first time all year. I bought 6 packs of beer today and put them in the fridge, and I bought 3 or 4 ribeyes because they were thin cut all in one package. And I'm not going outside for 3 days.
There you go.
I'm turning on the air conditioner and just staying indoors. And I feel sorry for everybody across the country suffering in 100-degree heat. It's just unbearable. God bless y'all.
It has not hit us yet, but all right, George.
Go Gators, beat Iowa. I mean Utah. I got Iowa on the brain.
Yeah, we all do. See you, George.
All right. Bye.
Our man George getting the job done, calling us tonight. One Scoop John, love your comment here. Let's cap off the night with this. Always remember, shoot, where's One Scoop John? And you guys are tearing up the chat tonight. Please consider Mark's Patreon. I will donate up to 5 people's first month as a member. Exclusive hangouts, predictions, Discord. So this is what you get. Go to Patreon. Search Mark Rogers TV. So you're all signed up there. I get you the Discord link and see what you see in the live chat right now. You can talk college football. You can talk whatever you want as long as it's within some level of decency with all these guys whenever you want. You got Eric there and Exploring with Ben, and Tim's there, and Ronan's there, and Jordan Bowman's there, and One Scoop John's there, and other people are there. Exploring with Ben, if I didn't say him, and so many others. 55 to 60 people on Discord. And the more we get, like Willie said earlier tonight, the more we get. Oh, come on, Tim. I'm trying to get off here. Maybe I'll just leave. I'll have Tim talk college football with all of you as I say goodbye. Join us on Discord. Join us on Discord. Maybe Tim's here to give a plug for Discord. Tim, can you hear me? I think you are here at the perfect time to give us a plug for Patreon and Discord.
Yeah, no, actually, I was gonna go with I'm gonna match. I'll match One Scoop. So we get, maybe you should have a giveaway. You'll do 10. You do 10 Discords, and he and I will sponsor their first month, 5 apiece. So I was just calling to say that. That's all. It's a great idea.
That is phenomenal of you guys to kick in with that.
So you figure out a contest or a raffle, or what do you want to do?
Yeah,
what are
we gonna do?
We could do maybe just maybe you could have the first 10 people to do a donation, and then we'll match, and they just do a super stick for 190, whatever, 199, first 10 people, and then we'll take the names down.
Bingo. So if you're going to give to our next live stream, I need to get set with this and remember to do this. And the first 10?
Well, because One Scoop's going to do 5, and I'll do 5. That's fine.
That would be phenomenal. Tim, I appreciate it. One Scoop John, I can't thank you guys enough. And whatever the super sticker, super chat is for the first 10, assuming that those 10 people are doing it because of that. If you don't want it, then we'll go to the next person, of course. But the first 10 on the next live stream, which will be sometime this weekend, Monday at the latest. Okay.
Yeah, if you guys like the chat, again, that's what Discord is. And Ben's been opening up like a StreamYard for people in Discord. We've been just watching football games and talking. So basically, if you like the Voice College football community, it's really a bunch of us guys. One Scoop was in there. Jordan Bowman was in there. See who else? George has been there.
I've been there.
You've been there. That's right.
They sometimes don't want me to be there, but
we got to watch Mark cook his dinner one time. That was worth the price of admission alone.
I think they're doing that to get away from me, but I crashed a few times.
Yeah,
but,
we're gonna do like some. We were just talking last night about maybe having it to where we just do like on a Sunday morning, just doing a rewatch of the best game of the day before, and just having the community chatting away. And again, everyone in Discord is gonna be invited. We'll have a link, and you come join and chat with us all you want. So anyway, I know you're going, so I just want to call and say that I'll match John's really great idea. So,
well, one other thing, Tim, I want you guys that are in there all the time, One Scoop John, you, Exploring with Ben, if you guys think of other channels that we need to have in there. So right now, everybody, we've just got a national chat and we've got each conference. But if something comes up where, Lincoln Riley says something stupid, as he's apt to do.
Did I say 5? Make it 2. 2. I'll sponsor 2, not 5. No, I'm not.
Bad example.
Ben, you can call in. You can tell your example because Ben had a great idea for one of your channels, but we all agree that you'd probably never let it fly. So.
I want to hear this in a second, but before, let me finish my thought. I'll go with a more conventional idea. It's week 1. And Ohio State and Notre Dame are getting so much traffic that it gets mixed in there. We can always make like separate channels, like USC recruiting, Ohio State Notre Dame game, Utah Florida game, and then take them down when the game's over or whatever. But we can build this out to be whatever we want it to be. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, again, we have ACC guys, Big Ten guys coming together. We have SEC with George. So the more the merrier, and again, if you enjoy chat, if you enjoy hanging out in this community, it's just one more option. And again, we only get marked for like, a couple, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours a week. You can have nonstop.
That's it.
Nonstop trouble inside the Discord if you want to join
Yeah, it's good. So once again, go to Patreon, search Mark Rogers TV, and that's where you sign up, and I'll get you the Discord link as soon as possible.
All right. Okay. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it. That is phenomenal. I just have to put that note somewhere where I'm going to remember. So we'll go live either tomorrow or Sunday, but Monday, I will be live Monday for sure. And the first 10, last chance, One Scoop John and Tim to back out of this commitment, but they said the first 5 each. So the first 10 that give some sort of super chat, super sticker, it can be $1, whatever, will get the free first month on Patreon. The Patreon's $5 a month. The Patreon is $5 a month. And I am always up to suggestions on how to make the Patreon better, because right now what Patreon's going to be is during college football season, it's worth more because for whatever it's worth, you get my predictions. You get the predictions of Steve Dace and Tony Gerdeman and Steve Hellwagon and about 15 other of our media people. But I will pat myself on the back. I did have the best record against the money line and against the spread against our 15 other media folks. So hopefully I can retain my championship this year. Plus, I will churn out an exclusive live stream per request over there. We do enough over here. I don't know who else would want to hear more exclusive live streams from me. But, you know, I'll say it this way. One exclusive content offering per week. So you can request an exclusive video. You can say, Mark, I want to see, like somebody requested a few weeks ago, I want to see a Michigan State schedule preview. Bam. So that's as well. One Scoop John says, I just covered 1. So 4 to go for me. Who else wants a free membership to Mark's Patreon to join the Discord? And One Scoop John and Tim, I cannot thank you guys enough. That's a phenomenal idea. And thank you so much for giving. That's amazing. All right. So Neil says, stupid super. So considering what Neil gave tonight, maybe we could consider we could grandfather Neil into the one of the 10 spots. Maybe we could do that as well. It's just me, Tim 79. I am not encouraging betting in any way. You do with your money what you will. I do give my predictions on the games, but I in no way ever say I am going to make you money for sure. Any odds maker would be an idiot to say that, but about 15 out of every 16 years, I will make you money. So hopefully I can pull through on that this year as well. Yeah, the Navy helmet does look good, doesn't it? That's a sharp top row now with Utah, Navy, and Kentucky. And is it just me, or do the new helmets just seem to have a glimmer? Every time we get a new helmet or 2 or 3, it just seems like they just shine, as opposed to the oldest helmets I have here are the first helmets I bought were during the 2016 college football playoffs. So I bought the 4 playoff teams: Ohio State, Bama, Washington, wherever they are, Washington, and Clemson. So yeah, like compare the Clemson to like we just got Kentucky today. Yeah, they're holding up pretty well after almost 6 years, about 5.5 years at this point. Good stuff. So again, we're going to be back Monday at the latest. We might do something tomorrow. We might do something Sunday. I am always building the channel. So even when I'm not on, we've got some things in the works that are really good. And I've got a project that I can't wait to tell all of you about, but it's got to get to a certain point for me to tell everybody about my current project that has taken a long time to complete, but we'll get there. And it's going to send us to another level. All right. G Bama boy, good to see you. And D-Rock Irish, we appreciate you being here all the time. Who does off the helmets? Well, we get to them once in a while. If you've ever been in a TV studio, you know how glitzy like the Sports Center set looks. Like everything looks like it's magical. It sparkles, shines. You ever walk in the actual studio? It doesn't look like that in person. All right. So Rob says, cool stream, the new call-in system. And you know what? There's a couple benefits here. Number one, if you want to be on camera, you can be on camera. And it's so much easier to set up. It's already set up. Like the other one, I got a call on my phone and I got to set up the call-in system. I got an I don't have to wear an earpiece. And I get to see you guys. If you want to be on camera, you don't have to be on camera. But if you want to be on camera, you can be. On top of that, I can hear you better, and I think everybody else can hear you better. Number 4, it doesn't cost any money, because that usually runs me about $12 to $15 per call-in show. And the real MVP says the audio is better, and that's the most important thing, because I got to tell you, there were times when I was like just guessing what you guys were saying. Uncle Rico. Once Uncle Rico gives the thumbs up, we don't need to talk about it anymore. It's set in stone. Done. All right, everyone. Appreciate you being here. The Voice of College Football. Have a great weekend. We will see you Monday at noon for sure. Noon Eastern time on Monday. Maybe we do a live stream before that. We shall see. But I'm cranking out content as always, and we'll see you. Lock in on your favorite channel, team channel, and of course, join us on Discord. Go to Patreon search Mark Rogers TV, and I will get you the Discord link. See you next time. Enjoy the show. You guys are amazing. You keep it going. You guys are the ones that make this thing roll. We'll see you.